What is up, everybody, and welcome to FLW videos. In today's episode, we're going to be stepping away a little bit from Pokemon Go and going behind the scenes, talking about the studio, doing a little bit of a tour, and then of course talking about the process that I personally use filming videos. Now, you may not know this, but I actually cover Pokemon Go part-time, and in order to be able to do that and compete with everyone who's doing it as a full-time career, I have to really focus on automation and really focus on kind of shortcuts and making the process as smooth as possible. So I do think that although this video is going to be entertaining, there's also going to be some really cool kind of learning things that we can talk about as well. So I hope you do enjoy it. If you do, make sure to turn that like button shiny and also subscribe if you want to stay up to date on all Pokemon Go news. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. Why not go ahead and start this video off with the back? Now, this is the first thing that you see in my videos besides myself, and we're gonna go ahead and set the mood for it. So this is actually what I do when I'm ready to start recording, and I'm using an app called Genie, not to be confused with PokeGenie. Genie is an app that allows me to automate different outlets, and I'm using smart outlets to be able to do this. We've got the LED strip hooked up to it. We've got the different lights for the backlighting hooked up to it. And I even have my camera actually set up on it as well. So with just one click of the button, we are set up and ready to go. Now let's go ahead and cover two interesting stories about the background. The first one is it's an absolute monster. It's 8 foot by 8 foot. And that's actually because I screwed up by memory. I thought I needed to get 8 foot, but in reality, I probably should have gone with 6 foot by 6 foot. That would have been absolutely enough. But yeah, so a lot of extra room kind of set up there. But of course, you don't see all of that anyway, so I don't know if it's that big of a deal, but at least from just being in the room, it's a little bit unpleasant to look at once you get outside of the actual like back padding and everything. So let's talk about one more story, which is pretty cool, and because you're watching this video, you're gonna get some exclusive information, and it has to do with the plaque itself. So this is my 100K plaque, and I actually have it floating in the frame, and it's floating on something very specific. And that is a USB port. So I had a USB port that was the perfect color, and I thought, you know what, no one is going to notice this in the background. It's going to be really cool that this plaque is floating within the frame. So it's actually a USB stick that is making it or allowing it to float, which is pretty cool and something that no one is ever going to notice throughout a regular video. So you at least get some exclusive information just by watching this. The next thing that we have to talk about, we're gonna flip around and take a look at the actual computer itself. So I actually have 3 monitors set up right now. And yes, I do love my dog, but the reason why the dog is set as the background is because my wife is using the exact same Microsoft account as me, and it ends up updating the picture for whatever background she has. Thank you for that one. So of course, when I'm filming, I gotta make sure I change all of that so that's not in the background, and we make it more Pokemon themed for sure. But moving beyond that, we can kind of take a look at a couple of things on the desk. I've got this really wide piece of wood, and I put that on there because my original desk wasn't quite deep enough. So I ended up just having a piece of wood and just putting it up there instead. A little bit more functional, yes. Is it the greatest look? No. Maybe I could eventually paint it black. And I also have this little tape strip that I ran along it. That way, your boy doesn't get splinters while he's out there grinding on these YouTube videos. Got a little bit of a step there just so that monitor ends up being flat with everything else. And yes, it works out. Do you end up seeing this behind the scenes? No. So do I worry about the looks? Not so much. Now, as far as this video screen is concerned, I actually use it to monitor YouTube live chats when I'm live streaming, and that's why it's kind of in portrait mode. So I at least wanted to show you that. Moving beyond that, we've got the microphone here, and for the most part, it ends up being kind of off camera. So it's just barely below the frame, so you don't really see that. And then of course, we've got the Stream Deck. Oh my gosh. This single piece right here is no joke, an absolute lifesaver. And I honestly feel like it deserves its own segment. So I definitely want to show you what this looks like when I first start out my process. So I created a start menu, and within this start menu, you can actually combine a bunch of different actions all at once. And I've got anything and everything that I need to have open up when I'm starting to film an episode. So let's go ahead and do this. And what's going to happen is all of these different things are going to end up kind of like working all at once, if you will. So when I press open program, then we're going to see it actually start to open up things. such as websites, such as PowerPoint to build like a thumbnail, do all of that sort of thing. Also open up Excel, doing everything that I normally do in a single episode. Everything ends up opening up automatically, which is something that I really need to do to be able to do this process and to be able to do it in such a short amount of time. I have to basically automate as much as I possibly can. So a lot of people want to take a look at the behind the scenes for the spreadsheet where I build all of the different Pokemon models. And believe it or not, I'm actually doing this in Excel. That way I can kind of like automatically go ahead and update a particular Pokemon. So we can take a look at some stats. So recently I did a Mega Heracross and then also did a Heracross. So everything gets updated automatically. And then all I have to do is just kind of take some screenshots of that. The only thing I don't have automated at this point in time is getting the actual Pokemon model to automatically feed in. That is something that I'm probably going to have to work on at some point, but that's kind of how I start off. And then of course I end up moving on to the editing process. Throughout the editing process, I might go on to full camera like this, and the entire time I'm using the Stream Deck. The Stream Deck is definitely the best purchase that I have made. I ended up buying the mini Stream Deck. If you are interested in that, it's got 6 buttons. That's really all I need, but I will put a link to that product in the description below. And then of course we could switch over to the camera angle that we've been at. So I'm switching scenes to just try to make it a little bit more professional. And at the same time, once I got all of the process kind of ironed out, it means that it's easier for me to do it. And then at the same time, it's going to end up being a higher quality for you. So that is a huge bonus. Now, of course, we could talk about the Stream Deck. I could do my own episode on that, but we got to move on with the tour. So let's go ahead and head downstairs where we check out the PC. This is single-handedly the thing that makes this all run. We edit on this, we record videos on this, we play games on this, we do anything and everything inside of YouTube and outside of it. And of course, if you're one of those PC nerds, we've got 64 gigabits of RAM and a 1080 Ti graphics card. I would love to upgrade it, but I actually built this just before COVID, so good news as far as the pricing of the parts are concerned. Bad news, because if I want to do any type of upgrade, it's going to be extremely expensive to do that, but I at least wanted to showcase it with the case off so you could take a look. So beforehand, I mentioned that I was huge into efficiencies, and one of them is through the actual filming process with this camera. I don't have a battery on it, and I don't have any sort of memory card that I have to transfer files, worry about the batteries being charged, anything like that. And instead I have it hooked up directly into the computer using an Elgato Cam Link, which allows me to hook up an HDMI cord from the camera into the computer directly. Ends up acting a lot like a souped up webcam, if you will. Now, this is a pretty funny story. We've got the camera stand. Normally, if you use a camera stand that's a tripod, there's just not quite enough room. So instead, I end up using the microphone stand box, cut a hole through the middle so that the shaft for the stand for the computer monitor ends up being wrapped around by the box, and it's actually super sturdy, and it just sits right on top of the deck of cards straight over the original webcam that I use for other things. So moving on, we really don't have too much to talk about. I do have kind of a stand setup in here, but I just put it in and I don't have anything displayed or anything like that. It's really just for functionality. I needed to get some things kind of out there. Yes, as you can see, I've got the Burger King Pokeball there, and I actually collect a ton of trading card game memorabilia and have been for the past 6 years. So that's what's in this closet. Who knows? Let me know if you'd be interested in it. We can take a little bit of a sneak peek. And as you can see, we've got at least 20 Elite Trainer boxes here, and I've got so much more. So definitely let me know if you'd be interested in seeing a tour specifically focused on the trading card game. Well, that just about wraps up the video. I truly hope that you had a lot of fun with it. You got a little bit more of a perspective beyond just this little screen that you're taking a look at now. And of course, you learned something along the way. Definitely make sure to let me know if you would want to do a closet tour to check out all of the trading card game memorabilia that I've collected over the past couple of years. Definitely let me know in the comments section below. I also want to give a huge shout out to the supporters over at Patreon and the members of the YouTube channel. Thank you so much. If you're interested in supporting the channel and want to connect with other Pokemon Go players, coordinate for raids, discuss Pokemon Go, definitely make sure to check out the Patreon link in the description below, and I will see you next time.